wasn't supposed to want him. He was my father's best friend, always in a sharp suit, with a vintage watch ticking on his wrist and the faint scent of old-school cologne. Everyone called him respectable, untouchable. But I saw something else in his eyes, something dangerous and alive, and I knew exactly how to make him see me, not as a girl, but as a woman who could unravel his perfect world. My name is Emily Harper, and I was 19 when I discovered the power of a single glance. I had returned to our quiet Connecticut suburb after my first year of college. The air was heavy with humidity, and our old colonial house creaked under the weight of family secrets. My father, Tom, was hosting his annual barbecue, the kind where neighbors sipped lemonade and pretended they didn't despise each other. I was bored, restless, my heart yearning for something to shatter the monotony like lightning tearing through the sky. That's when I saw him again, James Caldwell, my father's oldest friend. He was 42, with salt and pepper hair framing his head and a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. He stood by the grill, a glass of bourbon in hand, his deep laugh mingling with my dad's banter. His navy suit jacket hung over the back of a chair, and his white shirt was unbuttoned just enough to hint at the strong chest beneath. James was a lawyer, the kind who commanded courtrooms and made juries swoon with his charisma. Everyone respected him, held him up as a paragon. Everyone except me. I'd known James my entire life. He was the man who'd ruffle my hair when I was 10, call me kiddo, and flash a smile that felt safe. But I was no longer a child. College had changed me. My body had taken on new curves. My confidence had grown, and the desires burning inside me were anything but childish. I wanted him to see me, not Tom's daughter, but a woman who could make his heart race. That day, I wore a dress, red, fitted, with a neckline that accentuated my curves. My mother, catching sight of me, sighed and raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I leaned against the porch railing, sipping iced tea, watching James. His eyes flicked toward me, just for a moment, before he turned back to my dad, but that moment was enough. I noticed the pause, the tightening of his jaw, the slight clench of his fingers around the glass. He saw me. The barbecue dragged on like a sticky summer day, but I was patient, a hunter biding her time. I laughed at the right moments, helped my mom with the dishes, played the part of the perfect daughter, but my eyes kept returning to James. He was careful, too careful, maintaining an invisible wall between us. Yet I caught him looking again when I bent to pick up a napkin that accidentally fell. My dress rode up slightly, revealing more than it should, and his gaze lingered longer than he could afford. Our eyes met, and this time, he didn't look away immediately. Something sparked in his eyes, a hunger he was desperately trying to conceal. That night, after the guests had left, I found him in my father's study. He was seated at the desk, nursing another bourbon, flipping through an old law book. The room was dimly lit by a desk lamp, the air thick with the scent of leather, whiskey, and his cologne, cedar and spice. I closed the door softly, the click of the lock barely audible, but enough to make him look up. "Emily," he said, his voice low and controlled, though I could hear the tension beneath it. "You should be helping your mom clean up." I smiled, leaning against the door, letting my dress slip slightly off one shoulder. "Mom's fine. I wanted to talk to you." He raised an eyebrow, setting the book down, but his fingers lingered on the page. "About what?" I stepped forward, my hips swaying slightly, my movements slow but deliberate. "College, life, you know, grown-up stuff." His laugh was dry, almost forced, but his eyes betrayed him. They slid to my neckline, lingered for a moment, then snapped back to my face. "You're still a kid, Emily." "Am I?" I tilted my head, letting my hair fall over one shoulder, exposing my neck. "Funny, I don't feel like one." pushing the desk between us as if it could shield him. "What are you doing, Emily?" I didn't answer right away. I walked to the desk, trailing my fingers along its smooth edge, feeling the air between us thicken. "You've known me forever, James, but you don't really see me, do you?" "I see you just fine," he said, but his voice was tighter now, his knuckles white around the glass. I leaned forward, giving him a view he couldn't ignore. My dress stretched, accentuating every curve. "Then why do you keep looking away?" He froze. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of cicadas outside. I could feel the heat of his gaze, the internal battle raging within him. He wanted to look. He wanted more than to look. But he was James Caldwell, the honorable man who didn't break rules. "Emily," his voice was almost a warning, but it trembled with a hint of weakness. "This isn't a game, isn't it?" I stepped around the desk, stopping close enough to breathe in his cologne, sharp and intoxicating. "I'm not a little girl anymore, James, and I know you've noticed." He didn't move, but his eyes darkened, pupils dilating as if consuming me. I reached out, brushing my fingers against his wrist, where his watch gleamed. His pulse was racing, betraying what he tried to hide. "You're Tom's daughter," he said, as if the words could stop the storm. "This is wrong." "Then why does it feel so right?" I whispered, stepping closer until our bodies were mere inches apart. I could feel the heat radiating from him, the tension coiling in his muscles. He grabbed my wrist, not hard but firm enough to halt me. "You don't know what you're asking for." I looked up at him, my lips parted, my voice soft but steady. "I know exactly what I want." For a moment, I thought he'd push me away, retreat as he always did when he neared the edge. But his grip softened, his thumb brushing against my pulse as if testing if I was real. His other hand found my waist, hesitant at first, then pulling me closer. His breath burned against my ear as he murmured, "You're going to ruin me, Emily." I smiled, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. Good. The weeks that followed were a dance on the edge of a blade. James was a master at concealing his emotions, always maintaining appearances. At family dinners, he was the perfect guest, charming, detached with impeccable manners. He laughed at my dad's jokes, complimented my mom's casserole, but I saw his eyes seeking me across the table. Fleeting glances that lasted a fraction of a second, but burned like a touch. When we were alone, when my parents were away for the weekend or stuck late at work, the house became our sanctuary. Our first kiss happened in his car, parked in the shadows of an empty lot on the outskirts of town. I remember my hands trembling as I climbed onto his lap, the leather seat creaking beneath us, his hands tangled in my hair, his lips hungry, as if he'd been holding back for years. He whispered my name, Emily, sometimes like a prayer, sometimes like a curse, and I melted at the sound. That night, we didn't go further, but every touch, every breath was a promise of more. I knew he was fighting himself. James was a man of principles, loyal to my father, and that loyalty was a chain binding him. But I was relentless. I tested his limits, pushing further each time. One night, when my parents were at a charity gala, I invited him over under the pretense of needing legal advice for a school project. He knew it was a lie, but he came anyway. I waited for him in my bedroom, wearing nothing but a silk slip that clung to my skin like a second layer. The light from candles I'd lit danced on the walls, casting an intimate glow. When he walked in and saw me, his breath caught. I sat on the edge of the bed, legs crossed, letting the slip right up to reveal my thighs. "What's wrong, James?" I asked, my voice soft but laced with provocation. "You look tense." He closed the door, locking it, and I saw his eyes darken. "You're playing with fire, Emily." "Then burn me," I replied, curves of my hips, the dip of my spine, as if committing every inch to memory. He lifted me onto the bed, his weight pressing me into the mattress, and I felt everything in me come alive. The silk slip was gone in seconds, his shirt following. His skin was hot, his muscles taut under my fingers. Every kiss was electric, every touch a secret that belonged only to us. We moved slowly, savoring each moment. His hands explored me, gentle but possessive, and I arched into him, wanting more. When he finally gave in, it was like a dam breaking, intense, overwhelming, perfect. We were careful, quiet, aware of the world beyond my room that could destroy everything. But in that moment, there was only us, lost in the darkness, where guilt and fear had no place. Our affair was a tightrope walk. Sometimes, guilt gnawed at me when I thought of my dad, my mom, the betrayal we were weaving. I saw my dad laughing with James, my mom setting a plate of homemade pie in front of him, and my heart clenched. But the pull of James was stronger than anything. He was everything I shouldn't want. Older, forbidden, dangerous. And yet, he was the only thing that felt real in my life. We met in secret, choosing hotel rooms on the city's outskirts or quiet cafes where no one knew us. Each meeting was like a breath of air after a long dive. I pushed him further, wanting to see where his limits ended. One night, in a hotel with panoramic windows, overlooking the glittering city, we lay tangled in the sheets. His fingers lazily traced circles on my back, and I sensed something new in him, a vulnerability he rarely showed. "Emily," he said softly, his voice almost a whisper, "this can't last forever." I propped myself up on my elbow, looking into his eyes. "Why not?" "Because it's not just about us," he replied, pain lacing his voice. "Your father, he trusts me. He's my best friend. And you're young. You have your whole life ahead of you, and I don't want to be the one who ruins it." I straddled him, my hair falling around us like a curtain shutting out the world. "I don't care about any of that. I want you. Now. Always." He groaned, his hands gripping my hips, pulling me closer. "You're impossible. And you love it," I teased, leaning down to kiss him. Our lips melded, and I felt his resistance melt, felt him surrender to me once more.
If you enjoyed my story of how I seduced my father's friend, how he crossed every boundary because of me, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of my story? Have you ever experienced something similar? Let's talk about it.